Elon Musk didn't just criticise UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He's actively trying to remove him from power using his 200 million follower platform as a weapon. This isn't business. This is digital warfare against a sovereign nation. If this story shocks you, subscribe now because what happens next will change how power works forever. Here's the timeline that led to this unprecedented battle. July 29th, 2024. 3 young girls murdered in Southport. BB King, 6. Elsie Stankham, 7. Alice De Silva Aguiar, 9. Britain mourned. Then misinformation exploded online about the killer's identity. Riots erupted. The government's response? Arrest the messengers. Over 3,000 people arrested for social media posts, not rioters. People who shared content. Bernadette Spofford, 55, shared a post that was already circulating. Police raided her home at dawn. She faces 2 years in prison for clicking share. Peter Lynch was a 61-year-old grandfather from Rotherham. He attended a protest, never hurt anyone, never broke anything. They jailed him anyway. Lynch killed himself in that cell. Meanwhile, a convicted pedophile got just 18 months. A man posting, "Don't come to Southport," got 20 months for 8 words. The message was clear. In modern Britain, words are more dangerous than crimes against children. That's when Elon Musk said enough. He didn't send diplomatic cables. He didn't make quiet phone calls. He went straight to his 200 million followers and called it what it was: Soviet-level censorship. Tweet after tweet, Musk broadcast Britain's authoritarian crackdown to the entire planet. Every harsh sentence, every midnight arrest, every government lie. Suddenly, the whole world was watching Britain jail people for tweets while violent criminals walked free. British officials panicked. They threatened to extradite the world's richest man for social media posts, the same police who had ignored something far worse for decades. For over 20 years, organised gangs systematically abused thousands of British children. Rotherham, Rochdale, Telford, Newcastle, Oxford. At least 1,400 verified victims in just one town, Rotherham. Some estimates put the national total at 100,000 children. Children as young as 11 were groomed, drugged, and trafficked like commodities. Some victims were doused in gasoline and threatened with being burned alive. Others were forced to watch attacks on younger children as psychological control. Girls were plied with alcohol and drugs, then passed around groups of men like objects. The abuse was filmed and used for blackmail. This went on for years, in some cases, decades. And here's the part that will make your blood boil. The authorities knew. Police knew. Social workers knew. Politicians knew. They all knew, and they did nothing. Why? Because the perpetrators came from specific ethnic communities, and officials were terrified of being labelled racist. They said investigating would be too culturally sensitive, so they abandoned those children to protect their own careers. Where was Britain's current Prime Minister during the worst years? Keir Starmer was the Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013, the country's top prosecutor during the peak of these crimes. Under Starmer's leadership, traumatised girls who came forward were dismissed as unreliable witnesses. Cases were dropped because juries supposedly wouldn't believe them. Prosecutors said the cases were too complicated to pursue. A damning 2008 internal memo, revealed by whistleblowers, acknowledged that child sexual exploitation was happening in specific communities across Britain. But instead of launching investigations, the memo instructed police to avoid any action that might appear discriminatory. They literally chose political correctness over protecting children. Years later, when cases were finally reopened, the girls had been telling the truth the entire time. DNA evidence confirmed their stories. Physical evidence supported their testimonies. The system hadn't failed these children. It had deliberately abandoned them. Elon Musk put this scandal back in the global spotlight with one devastating post. Keir Starmer was complicit in the worst mass crime in modern British history. He chose politics over children while serving as the nation's top prosecutor. Now he's jailing citizens for tweets. That post exploded across the internet. International media outlets suddenly picked up the story. Questions buried for years were being asked again on a global scale. But Musk was just getting started. Sources say he's moved from criticism to active political warfare. The goal isn't just to shame Starmer, it's to systematically remove him from power. The strategy is surgical. First, use his massive platform to spotlight every government failure in real time. Second, quietly support opposition parties like Reform UK through his extensive network. Third, leverage his unprecedented influence with Donald Trump to apply economic pressure on Britain until there's political change. Remember who Elon Musk has become. He's probably Trump's closest advisor. He controls critical infrastructure like Starlink satellites. His social media reach dwarfs any world leader. When Musk speaks, global markets move. When he picks a side, governments fall. In December 2024, Musk crossed a line that sent the British political establishment into panic. He publicly suggested that King Charles III should dissolve Parliament and call immediate new elections. This hasn't happened against a government's wishes since 1834. It would trigger the biggest political crisis in modern British history. Musk posted, "Sometimes democracy needs a reset." When governments jail citizens for tweets while protecting grooming gangs for decades, normal politics has failed. The Crown must act. That post went viral instantly. #dissolve Parliament started trending worldwide. Ordinary British citizens were suddenly Googling constitutional law and discussing the monarch's reserve powers. The pressure kept building. Reform UK started surging in polls. Starmer's approval ratings went into freefall. Even members of his own Labour Party started questioning whether they'd gone too far. The government tried desperately to fight back. They called Musk a racist with hidden motives. They accused him of foreign interference. None of it worked. Every time they attacked him, Musk responded with evidence. Court documents proving government failures. Official statistics showing the scale of the cover-up. Specific case files demonstrating prosecutorial misconduct. They couldn't discredit him because he was telling the documented truth. What we're witnessing isn't just about British politics. This has become a test case for power itself in the digital age. For the first time in human history, we're seeing a private citizen with a social media platform successfully challenge a sovereign government and win. Traditional power structures are crumbling. When a single tweet can reach 200 million people instantly, when truth spreads faster than government spin, when evidence can't be buried by official denial, everything changes. The British establishment is discovering they can't control the narrative anymore. They can't silence critics. They can't hide their failures behind closed doors. Other world leaders are watching with growing nervousness. From Berlin to Brussels to Washington, they're all asking the same question. If Musk can bring down a British Prime Minister, who's next? This crisis is exposing fundamental weaknesses in how modern governments operate. For decades, politicians have relied on controlling information through traditional media. They've managed scandals through careful PR campaigns. But in the age of global digital platforms controlled by individuals rather than corporations, those old tactics don't work anymore. Musk has demonstrated that a single person with the right platform can expose government failures to global audiences instantly, generate international pressure that national media can't ignore, rally public opinion across borders, force constitutional crises through digital campaigns. This is unprecedented in human history. As we move deeper into 2025, this crisis shows no signs of stopping. Every week brings new revelations. Every poll shows Starmer's support collapsing. The battle lines are clearly drawn. On one side stands Keir Starmer, a Prime Minister who jails British citizens for social media posts, while having overseen a system that deliberately abandoned thousands of abused children. On the other side stands Elon Musk, the world's most influential private citizen, with direct access to the White House, control of critical global infrastructure, and a communication platform that reaches more people than all traditional media combined. This isn't just about one government anymore. This is about whether citizens can speak freely without midnight arrests. It's about whether powerful people will ever be held accountable for their worst failures. Peter Lynch died in a jail cell because he attended a protest. Thousands of children were systematically abused while authorities looked the other way. Citizens are being imprisoned for sharing content while violent criminals receive lighter sentences. But for the first time in history, there's a new kind of power capable of challenging government overreach. Digital power, global power, the power of truth spreading faster than lies. The battle for Britain's future is happening right now. The battle for free speech worldwide is being fought in real time on our screens. This is history being written, and you're watching it unfold. What side of history will you be on when this is over? Share this story everywhere. The mainstream media won't tell you this version of events, but the truth demands to be heard. The future of democracy itself hangs in the balance, and your voice matters more than you know.